世界の終わりで生まれた光、今風の中。
Chapter 15 True Freedom, Liberty, Heavenly Japan, Kingdom, Justice Part 1 Revelations. Sorry again for the wait, guys. I was working on this chapter, but then Pluto, the planet, not the dog lol, told me to stop. So I did for a while, but then I remembered that Pluto isn't the planet anymore, so who cares what he says lol. Awesome and Susaku were going to leave the UN to go save Japan in their nightmares. But then, some old dude with a smile and a suit walked up to them. "Howdy there," he said with Texas accent. "My name's Ron Paul. I was watching your duel with the Emperor and was much impressed by your sexy intellect. I want to join your party, Awesome, since I support freedom and liberty just like you." "I don't know about this guy, Awesome. He seems kinda crazy." Suzalu went. "I have many powers that would help your terrorists spread freedom. I have my own blimp that can serve as a warship, and I can correctly predict the future 9 out of 10 times, Ron Paul said. "Well, I trust him. Welcome to the Black Knight." Awesome high-fived Ron Paul and left. Meanwhile, in the United Nations building, Zaber was cleaning up all the dead politicians while Obama did president things on his throne. The Emperor walked to Zaber once Susaku and Lelouch left.
"Damn, that's awesome. How can we beat him now that he's made invading Asia illegal?"
Zaber went. "We aren't going to beat him or invade Asia. We're going to beat and invade everything else." Old the Emperor, he pointed at the corpses Zaber was cleaning. "The Germans, the French, the Quebecians, all their leaders got killed during the chess game. All of our other enemies are dead. Now we can invade their countries unopposed." Emperor made Old Man laugh, and Zaber laughed evil too.
"This was your plan all along, wasn't it?"
"Indeed! Now finish cleaning up those bodies so I can have you drop a nuclear on France." The Emperor olded away. Meanwhile, in the Pacific Ocean, Awesome and Susaku and the Black Knights were flying from America back to Japan. They flew over the Pacific Ocean in their nightmares, except for Ron Paul, who brought his blimp along. The blimp helped carried soldiers who were too poor to afford nightmares and supplies and fuel for their nightmares. Orange-kun and Cullen and Lee, we are in there our Jaegers down in the ocean, making sure no kaiju attack the fleet. Awesome was sitting inside the blimp and sipping wine while sitting on a throne chair that could spin around on wheels. He left Ask-Your Prime on autopilot outside and was sitting in since he was tired of flying and wanted to sex S2 a lot also surely. Putin approached once Awesome was done having a threesome. "Emperor Awesome, we are halfway to the Japan place. I would suggest that we park in Hawaii for a bit so that we can rest and refuel and also annex the island for Russia." "That sounds like a great idea," Awesome said. But before he could land the fleet in Hawaii, they got attacked. There was an explosion that tore open the blimp and a bunch of people got sucked into the sky or burned to death. "Oh no! Are we being attacked by kaiju?" Ron Paul teleported down from the captain's cabin and looked out with a telescope. "It looks like we're being attacked by Canadian mercenaries." There was a fleet of biplanes outside. They were shooting at the blimp and the Black Nightmares with exploding machine guns. The Nightmares tried to fight them, but they were smaller and faster and could dodge the Nightmares' attacks more easily. The biplanes were led by Billy Bishop, who had the spinning propeller blades in front of his plane fold forward to form a spiral. He charged into a nightmare and drilled right through it. The United Nations may have made it legal for Britannia to invade Asia, but they said nothing about Britannia's colonies. Billy Bishop eviled. Ron Paul threw his telescope and drew a sword. "Battle stations!" he shouted. Hundreds of Tea Party members manned the blimp's defenses. They formed a musket line and shot their flintlocks through the explosion hole made in the blimp. They shot the wings of a bunch of biplanes which crashed into Hawaii and killed some people like in that scene from Pearl Harbor. Susaku jumped out of Lancelot and started spinning his legs in midair. Spin, Zaku helicopter! He shouted and his legs transformed into helicopter blades. He flew straight at the biplanes and had propeller duels with them. I'll go save our soldiers, Awesome said heroically. First he ran over to S2 and made out with her a bit. It was really hot. Then he had Putin fastball special him out of the blimp and into Ass-Kick Prime's cockpit. Awesome drew his Christmas special machine sword and charged the biplanes. They were too fast to hit with sword slashes though. They tried to shoot him with exploding bullets, but he slashed them in half and then used his explosion Geass to explosion bend their explosions back at the planes. How is he able to stop our explosions? I've never seen such military training before, said a Canadian pilot before he got exploded. Awesome managed to destroy almost every biplane single-handedly, but then Billy Bishop rammed him with his drill propeller from behind. He drilled apart Ass-Kicker Prime's engine, which caused it to fall down to Hawaii. Awesome climbed out of Ass-Kicker when it crashed and Billy Bishop flew down. Cherno Alpha and Gypsy Danger were walking over to the island, so Awesome smirked. Ha! You gave up your tactical advantage by choosing to fight me on the ground! You think you're the only one who brought friends? From the other side of the ocean, a transport ship came. It stopped at the beach and opened up and a bunch of orcs charged out. Oh no! Warriors from New Zealand! And that's not all! Paul Hogan, aka Crocodile Dundee, jumped at the head of the army, waving the Australian flag with one hand and holding a knife with the other. He and the orcs overran a Hawaii village and murdered all the villagers really violently, like in that scene from Pearl Harbor. Bastard! You will pay for murdering innocents! Awesome screamed emotionally. He drew his katana and charged Billy Bishop, who produced a rapier. Meanwhile, Orange-kun and Cullen and Lee charged the orc army with their Jaegers. They stomped most of them to death because they were so huge. Cullen and Lee tried to use Gypsy Danger's swords, but then Paul Hogan caught the slash with his knife. He laughed. That's not a knife, he said, and then activated his knife Geass. He created a knife twice as big as Gypsy Danger's sword. That's a knife, he said, and broke Gypsy's sword in half. But then Orange-kun activated his Geass cancellation Geass. Paul Hogan's giant knife vanished and Cherno Alpha punched him into the ocean. Meanwhile, Awesome and Billy Bishop were fencing. Billy Bishop was gaining the upper hand. You cannot defeat me. I was once a knight of the round, you know. Awesome smiled smartly. Well, there's something you don't know about me. What's that? I am not left-handed, Awesome said and then switched hands. Using his dominant hand, he was able to decapitate Billy Bishop and his rapier with a single swing. That was so clever, Awesome, gushed Cullen as she and Lee blew up orcs with Gypsy Danger's plasma cannon. Eventually, all the orcs got murdered by the Jaegers and Awesome. The biplanes also got destroyed by Ron Paul's blimp, but not before destroying all of Nightmares that weren't Lancelot or Ass-Kicker Prime, since they were on autopilot. Damn it! We lost too many Black Knights in that battle, Awesome said. Thank the goddesses we recruited Ron Paul and his army. Ron Paul's blimp flew down to the island. It turned to face Gypsy Danger and the Tea Party fired all their muskets at once. The Jaeger's electronics exploded from all the gunfire and it collapsed into the ocean. What the fuck? Awesome sweared, but that's okay because this fanfic is rated M. Ron Paul descended from a ladder and laughed while shooting a pistol in the air, which hit his own blimp and killed some dudes. It's happening! He shouted gleefully. Orange-kun was disgusted by such a display of not loyalty and charged Ron Paul with Cherno Alpha. But before he could punch him, a Destruco disc sliced Cherno's arm off. Putin was flying through the air with a glowing red aura. Awesome was shocked. Is that communism? No! Believe it! Ron Paul laughed. The Tea Party fired more muskets at Cherno Alpha and managed to knock it over too. Awesome tried to activate his explosion Geass and explode all the traitors. But before he could, Putin flew over and whispered in his ear, "Hail Britannia!" Putin shot Awesome through the chest with a Kamehameha. He fell down and started passing out from blood loss. Awesome, what happened? Awesome? Awesome! Screamed Suzaku. To be continued. continued.